everyone, I'm Chen. 大家好，我是崔晨 and this is A Day in Beijing. This is part 2 of the Summer Palace series, Beijing's original summer retreat for the Imperial court. Last episode was the story backdrop. We talked about how the Summer Palace was a birthday gift from the Emperor Qianlong to his mother, and Dowager Cixi, how she stole the navy money and rebuilt the garden, and the burning, the looting. If you haven't heard it, go back. This episode builds on that episode before. Today, I'm walking you through the garden. Same approach as the Forbidden City walking guide in episode 3. No matter if you're planning a trip to Beijing to China, or if you're just listening this episode on your bus to work or in your sofa, I will try my absolute best to transport you to the Summer Palace, to Beijing, to this peak summer of 40 degrees. Here is our walking route and why I've chosen it. We're going in through the east gate, Donggongmen, the main entrance, the gate Cixi used. And our walking route would follow her logic, her life in this palace. We will start from where she worked, and then moving to where she was entertained. And then we'll climb the hill for the breathtaking views, and then finish at the western end of the lake at the marble boat. East to west, duty to pleasure, public face to private life. And then we also got the practical tips at the end of this episode, where we're going to talk about how to buy tickets, timings, best seasons, and which entrance is the best for you to go into. Without further ado, let's start our tour together. The first thing you notice when you step through the east gate of the Summer Palace is the energy shift. 1 second, you're on busy, buzzing Central Road in Beijing. Traffic, heat, noise, they can be quite overwhelming. And then the next second, you're inside an imperial garden. The temperature drops, the sun changes, trees overhead, stone underfoot. The city disappears behind the walls. Look up at the gate. 3 characters. 颐和园, written by Emperor Guangxu himself. And there is a story behind that. The Dowager Empress Cixi apparently mocked his writing, said it wasn't good enough. Guangxu had to bring in a renowned calligrapher to coach him. He practiced and practiced. He practiced writing just for those characters over and over again until the Empress Dowager Cixi approved. And that's what we see everywhere in royal palaces in China, in Beijing. Even the sign above the gate had power place written all over on it. Through the gate, you're standing in front of the first major building in Summer Palace. This is where the government happened. When Qianlong Emperor built this hall, he named it the Hall of Diligent Governance, a reminder to himself. Yes, you're here to relax, to escape the summer, to escape the Summer Palace, but don't forget to run the country. That's what you were born to do. When Dowager Cixi took over, she renamed this major building to 仁寿殿. In English, it can be translated into the Hall of Benevolence and Longevity. No more diligent governance anymore. The reminder of to work hard was replaced with a wish to live a longer life. That tells you everything about the shift inside of the royal court. Inside of this major building, a 9-dragon throne at the center. Behind it, you can see a screen carved from zitan wood, one of the most expensive materials in whole of China, with a mirrored panel engraved with 226 different ways to write the character show longevity. 226 variations of one word on one piece of furniture. It's easy to read that as vanity. But think about who Cixi was at this point of time. She entered the palace at the age of 16. Her husband passed away. She was only 26. For the next 47 years, she ruled the country by herself, alone. No partner, no equal, no one she could trust completely ever. 226 ways to write longevity might not be vanity in this instance entirely. It might be the only prayer a woman in her position had left. In front of this hole, look for a bronze creature that seems like it couldn't decide what animal it wanted to be. It got dragon's head, a deer's antler, lion's tail, ox hooves, fish scales covering its body. This is Qilin, a mythical guardian that only appears during times of peace when a great leader is born. Dragon's power, deer's gentleness, lion's courage. One creature carries the best of 5 animals. If you remember the mythical beasts and animals sitting on the ridge of Forbidden City, this creature, Qilin, is just like those mythical creatures from the Forbidden City. Same tradition, guardians placed where protection is needed most. Walk north from the main building, and you will find a garden within a garden. It's called 谐趣园 in Chinese. It's the garden of harmonious interest. Let's slow down here a little bit. This is one of the quietest spots in the whole summer palace. It's modeled after Jichang in Wuxi. Qianlong Emperor visited the south multiple times, and he loved those gardens with 1,000 decorations and architectural styles. And that's why he had this one built to bring that feeling back to Beijing. Surrounded by gentle slopes, lotus pond in the center, 7 pavilions, 5 halls, small bridges, covered walkways. On a still morning, you can't tell which is a building, which is the reflection in the water. Stand at the water edge and let your eyes unfocus. The boundaries start to dissolve. This is where Dowager Cixi came to fish. And yes, this was where the eunuchs swam underwater and attached live fish to her hook. She never had a bad day fishing. I try to take a beat standing here sometimes and think about Cixi as a female back then in Qing Dynasty. This was a woman who ran an empire, who made decisions that affected hundreds of millions of people, who couldn't show doubt, couldn't show weakness, couldn't ask for help just by herself. And in the middle of all that, she came to this pond, sat down, held a fish pond, and for a few minutes pretended that catching a fish was the most important thing happened in her day. I know how ridiculous it is to hear that eunuchs had to swim underwater and put a fish on her hook. But maybe they were about to give a 60-year-old woman one small moment where something went right without a fight. Near the eastern end of this complex, easy to miss if you don't know where to look, is Deheyuan, the Garden of Virtue and Harmony. Inside of 德和园, you can see the Great Theatre, 大戏楼. It has 3 floors, 21 meters high, the largest surviving wooden theatre from the Qing Dynasty. 3 floors named 福台, 露台, 寿台, means blessing, prosperity, and longevity. This was built for Dowager Cixi's 60th birthday in 1895. She was 60 years old. And by this point of time, she'd been running the country by herself for 34 years. And what she wanted for her birthday was a theater. The greatest Peking opera performers of the era performed here. And during the birthday celebrations, officials of the second rank and above knelt inside of these gates. Third rank and below officials knelt outside of this gate. Emperor Guangxu himself performed a formal ceremony. Don't miss the theater when you go in here. Nearby is a small theater, 听梨园. The name means listening to the birds. Not actual birds, but a poetic way of saying beautiful music. Emperor Qianlong built this one for his mother. When Cixi built the Great Theatre, the smaller one was retired. After 1949, People's Republic of China was founded in Beijing. This small theatre became a restaurant for foreign guests. I sometimes think about why the Qing Dynasty royals loved Peking opera so much. I think about what opera meant to Dowager Cixi. She couldn't travel, couldn't leave the gardens for months, couldn't walk down a street, sit in a tea house, or watch a performance alongside ordinary people. So she built a theater and brought performances to herself. Opera was her window to a world that she couldn't enter and never entered. The closest she could get to a normal life. Watching stories about other people's adventures, love, betrayals, from a royal palace in a royal throne by herself alone. Now you're going to walk through the most famous corridor in China. Changlang is called the Lang Corridor. It's 728 meters long and it has 273 bays, running along the northern shore of Kunming Lake, connecting east to the west. The ground rises and falls gently. The corridor follows the nature contour of the hillside. To your left, the lake opens up through the columns, and to your right, the hill climbs. You're walking the seam between water and mountain. And now look up. You can see 1,400 paintings, every beam, every panel, each one different. And each one of them tells a separate story. You can see the beautiful green, blues, gold, and red covered in every single painting. 546 of them are scenes from Hangzhou West Lake. When Qianlong Emperor built the corridor, he sent artisans south to copy the landscapes and bring them back to Beijing. If you've been to Hangzhou, you will recognize the scenes above your head. The scenery looked so southern that Qianlong Emperor wanted to transport himself from Beijing back to the south. Walk slowly. Most people rush through this place because the lake pulls your eyes, but the stories are above you. Look up. And on a rainy day, the corridor fills with locals. Grandparents plays chess, someone practicing erhu or Peking opera, someone painting calligraphy with a water brush on the stone. For Beijingers like me and us, this isn't a tourist attraction. This is a living room sometimes for us. I know landmarks can be overwhelming to visit, and I completely get it. Sometimes the landmarks in China can be very, very crowded and touristy. But if you can, take a beat and slow down. Soak it all in, take a deep breath, sit somewhere in this long corridor and just observe and be. From the long corridor, look up the hillside. You can see temples, halls, covered walkways all over on the slope. And at the top, you can see 佛香阁. And in English, can translate into the Buddhist incense pavilion. It is an octagonal pavilion, has 41 meters height and 8 massive ironwood pillars. And that means this is the most expensive building in the entire Summer Palace. The climb up to the hill takes about 20 minutes. It's kind of steep, but don't worry, they built stone steps. Some uneven, but once you get to the top, you won't regret it. On the first floor of this Buddhist incense pavilion, you can see a bronze Guanyin. In Chinese, we call 千手千眼观音 because this particular bronze Guanyin has 1,000 arms and 1,000 eyes, 5 meters tall and 10,000 kilograms. In Buddhist tradition, she can see and hear everywhere, simultaneously, and reach in every single direction at the same time, to spread and show her compassion and to protect everyone. However, this original bronze masterpiece went missing during the war. So what you can see right now is a replacement that bought from another temple during reconstruction. Dowager Cixi came here every month to burn incense and pray. The plaque above reads 天外云香. We can roughly translate that into English as heavenly fragrance beyond the clouds, meaning incense from this prayer reaches the gods. And once you get to the top of this hill, look at this view. Kunming Lake below is 2.2 square kilometers of water in Beijing. You can also see the 17th Arch Bridge in the distance, Western Hills on the horizon, Beijing behind you. The Forbidden City doesn't have a view like this. By design, the emperor wasn't supposed to see the outside world. And most importantly, the outside world was not allowed to see inside of what's happening in the Forbidden City. However, the Summer Palace is opposite. Sky, water, mountains, distance. This is why the whole imperial court preferred here in the summer. If you stand here, take a deep breath. Take as much time as you need. Come down from the hill, walk the long corridor to its western end, and there it is. At the edge of Kunming Lake, you can see the boat of purity and ease. Yes, the marble boat we talked about in the previous episode. It's 36 meters long, made of stone, but also have wooden superstructure painted to look like a Western paddle steamer. This boat has 2 stories, and I mean literally. Qianlong Emperor built the stone base. His message was about governance. A stone boat cannot capsize. The empire is stable. It was a reminder to rule well, because a steady ship needs a steady hand. Then Cixi rebuilt the upper structure in 1888. She was 53 years old and been alone by herself on the throne for 27 years. She used navy money to rebuild the Summer Palace, and the symbol flipped completely for this boat. Instead, using the same budget to build a naval army to defend the country, she spent that budget on a boat made of marbles that can never sail or fight her battles. 7 years later, Japan destroyed our navy that barely existed in the First Sino-Japan War. But let's just stand here for a moment. Let's look at the design. It's actually quite beautiful. The proportions are elegant. On a calm day, the reflection in the water is perfect. The view from here, Longevity Hill behind you, the bridge in the distance, is one of the best in Beijing. Walk south along the lake. And then you will see 17孔桥, the 17 arch bridge. Is 150 meters long, connecting the shore to South Lake Island. Why 17? Come from either side. The center arch is always the 9th arch of the row. Number 9, remember what we talked about in Forbidden City series? That was reserved for Emperor only. Same as in the Forbidden City, you will see 9 dragons, 9,999 rooms. 9 is everywhere, built into bridge this time. It also has 544 stone lines on the railings. Every single one is different. They're either sleeping or rowing or playing with cups. No two are the same. It's creativity at its peak. Then you will see a bronze ox on the shore nearby. Kunming Lake is man-made. 100,000 people dug it out by hand. That much water on a hillside above Beijing is a flood risk. In Chinese tradition, bronze suppresses water. Same 5-element thinking from the Forbidden City. Water vats suppress fire inside of the palace. And here, a bronze ox suppress flooding outside of the garden. Same logic, but different element here. And if you're here during the winter solstice, late December, the afternoon sun passes through all 17 arches at once. The light turns golden. The arches glow. It's one of the most extraordinary views in the whole summer palace of the whole year. The Summer Palace isn't just a museum. For Beijingers, it's a park too. In the morning, you can see Taiji playing along in the lakeside before the gates open for tourists. Retired couples walking the long corridor. Someone always practicing calligraphy with a water brush. Characters that disappear in minutes. And in the summer, the lake is filled with lotus flower. The western shore became a wall of pink and green, paddle boats drifting through it. And in the winter, Kunming Lake actually freezes up, with a marble boat on one shore and a 41-meter tower on the hill above you. Nowhere else in Beijing beats this view. And now we get to the practical stuff. Tickets, where do you buy it? We buy them all online. Combo tickets with Suzhou Street and Garden of Harmonious Interest is worth it. I'll drop a link of the ticket purchase on WeChat program, but do watch out. On Monday, some of those palaces inside are closed, so I would suggest avoid Monday, but if you want a quiet day, then Monday is your day. You can still see the most of the garden. Timing-wise, I would say minimum you need 3 hours. Normally, if you want to do it properly and go through every single important building, major palaces, and hike that little hillside, you will need 4 to 5 hours. Season-wise, I would say all year long. I know it's not really helpful, but every single season has its own characteristics. But I will say one thing, especially in the summer, avoid the afternoon sunshine. It can go up to 40 degrees. So if you want to go in the summer, I say go really early in the morning or go really late in the afternoon, but don't go in after 6 p.m. because you won't be able to see it all. When you come to entrance, normally people all go in from the east gate and is the gate that I walk you through. But if you also want to go to the old summer palace, which is only 2 kilometers apart, you probably will go in from the north gate. If you got any questions, feel free to drop me a comment or send me a DM on Instagram at A Day in Beijing. I'm more than happy to help at any time. And now that's a wrap for the summer palace. A garden built for birthday celebration, and then it was rebuilt by a woman who'd been alone for her entire life almost and wanted one palace in the world where things could be beautiful, but, she stole the Navy money. That means we lost quite a few battles and wars. So yeah, quite a complicated historical and political backdrop, but also a very, very extraordinarily beautiful compound. If you come to Beijing, please don't miss it. And next up, we're gonna go into the Temple of Heaven, another landmark that is no less than the Forbidden City. If you know someone planning a trip to Beijing or China, or someone who might find this podcast interesting, send this link to them. Word of mouth is how a podcast small and independent like mine can grow. I'm here is because I want the world beyond the VPN. The whole wide world can see what we see in China. And also when people come to China, I want to provide a conscious and ethical and responsible way to explore Beijing. Drop a comment down below and let me know what your thoughts on Cixi, on Summer Palace. And you can also let me know what else you want to listen on this podcast. If you haven't already, hit follow and tap the bell button so you never miss an episode. New episode every Wednesday. If you have a story to tell about Beijing, about China, join me on this podcast. This is A Day in Beijing. Thanks everyone. I'll see you in the next episode in Temple of Heaven.